Welcome, Night Owls, to the Book Club After Dark podcast, an inviting moonlit podcast. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm Michelle. We break down fantasy, romantasy, and thriller novels.
All things enchanting, intriguing, suspenseful, and maybe a little spicy.
Each episode features intimate discussions on captivating stories, character breakdowns, fan theories, and more. And this is your content warning. This podcast contains mature themes and discussions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Episodes include explicit language and descriptions of mature romance, as well as depictions of violence and other intense subject matter. This podcast is rated R for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Yep, and going forward from here, there's going to be lots of spoilers for the Crowns of Nyaxia series as a whole, but specifically, we are doing Slaying the Vampire Conqueror tonight by the only Carissa Broadbent. So consider this your spoiler warning.
Let's get cozy because the best stories are told after dark.
Tonight's drink of the episode is based on Vivi, or Selena's brother, who mentions pineapple juice multiple times, and their like cute moment with the pineapple juice and like the symbolic nature of pineapple juice. So naturally, we had to feature pineapple in tonight's drink. So this is tonight's drink. If you get a good look at it, it has a reddish color to it. There's a couple reasons I went with red. Obviously, vampire blood in general. I loved her being a character that's blind, and she has the threads that are covering her eyes, and that is the ribbon or the cover for her is red. So there was a couple different symbolism there. We're going to call it a Pythora's cure because we also know that her brother has a drug addiction to this seed that kind of runs rampant, and he does have a happily ever after, which I was surprised about because Carissa doesn't always do that for us.
Right.
This drink has honey whiskey is the base. It also has pineapple juice, cran raspberry juice, and a touch of grenadine. Cheers.
Cheers. I loved this of Naru's story. You know, they have like the background of where when they were kids, she has like a chipped glass, and you know, he's like, don't spill the pineapple juice, and they're feeling content. And then when he has his own apartment at the end, and he just like is cheerfully like, let me show you around. Do you want some pineapple juice? And it just came for full circle for him. And I loved that at least his story tied neatly together because it was rough. It was rough going for him.
And rough is the understatement for both of them, honestly. So having that tie-in I thought was nice. And I did use a fresh pineapple juice. I didn't go with the canned version. And you can really tell the difference in sweetness. So it's a lot lighter because it's fresh pineapple juice. And I don't know if you knew this, Michelle, but I found this out while researching recipes that it's going to make you laugh. Pineapple juice apparently helps your bodily fluids all smell good.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
It helps smell and it helps taste.
You knew this? I didn't know this.
Yep.
I've been living under a rock. Welcome to Book Club After Dark, y'all. We're just getting dark right at the very beginning of our episode. Oh my God, girl. I had no idea. If you have a whole cup and wait an hour. I was like, excuse me, what? So now we have a big, giant, fresh thing of pineapple juice in our fridge. And the way I was like, oh, right then. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe all parties at your household should drink that to make sure everyone is having a good time and smells good.
I will take that into consideration and share this advice to said other party, which would
the one.
This is my husband. Let's be real. And but anyway, the drink. Right. Let's get back to the drink. The drink is delicious. The honey whiskey is great. I feel like the fresh pineapple juice makes it not overly sweet because canned pineapple juice is like extremely sweet because it's concentrated. The fresh pineapple juice is not, so you get that lighter pineapple. If you get the pineapple juice from concentrate, that sweetness is so overpowering that I feel like if you did that, you'd probably want to use regular whiskey in this drink instead of honey whiskey. But I feel like the fresh pineapple juice like balances that. And you don't go overboard with the grenadine either. It's really just for a little bit more boost of color. And that cranberry tartness throughout really helps to balance the whole drink. So I actually love this drink. I would order this out. I like it as a summer drink. We're in fall, but I love it, the look of it as a fall drink. It's a refreshing drink, and now it has an extra added bonus benefit that apparently you knew about, and I had no idea. And this is where we learn things in our show. So
I thought that was common knowledge. I thought that was...
Clearly not.
Now you know.
As the pregnant woman, was pineapple juice involved, ma'am?
We keep lots of fruit around the house.
Okay, then. All right. Yes. Michelle is due in December for those who don't know this by now.
Mhm.
If we're just tuning in and didn't know that.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, now that we've fully done that, tonight we're going to talk about what we're exploring we're getting back into the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I'm super excited about this. It's one of our favorite series. It's the reason we started our show. We love Carissa Broadbent. We love her worlds. We love her world building. We love Crowns of Nyaxia in particular. And this standalone, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, is no different. This was a 5-star for me. So, whether you're reading along with us or you're just here for the book talk, we are really glad that you're here. So, let's get into what's your reading order, Michelle, would you say, for this book? So, we have this series overall, and I want to touch on reading order really quickly as we get back into the Crowns of Nyaxia world and how many books there are, where you feel like this book fell in, and speak to that a little bit.
Well, I know for Carissa, this book is supposed to come before Songbird. So this is the book you read after the first duology. The characters don't come into play until Fallen. However, in the end, there's reference to Atraxis, and Atraxis is still alive during this reference and that's Nyaxia and Acacia. And so that shows it doesn't come after Songbird. It has to come before, or maybe when Songbird is occurring, honestly, at that time.
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah. So honestly, if we read it after Songbird, and I didn't feel like I missed anything for Songbird, and since the characters are really important, Fallen, I'm fine with reading it there. I just mentally made a note this actually happens before the ending of Songbird, and that's totally okay because really it's just the mention of Atraxis at the end. What about you?
So let me ask you this, because our reading order, I have a follow-up question to that. So our reading order, we really liked reading Vale and Lilith's story, which is 6 Scorched Roses after Ashes.
Right.
So would you say, which is, again, before Songbird. So, right. So it goes, let's break it out. We have the first book, which is
The Serpent
in the Wings of Night. Then we have Ashes and the Starborn King. So these are the first 2 duologies that follow Aurea and Rain. And again, Carissa Broadbent does this amazing thing where her first book is the female main character's point of view throughout. Second book is male main character and female main character. Sometimes in the first book, you might get a little bonus of his point of view, but primarily it's entirely female main character, and then you get the 2 points of view. Then she has the 2 standalones. She has 6 Scorched Roses, which follows Vale and Lilith, these 2 characters appear in Ashes. They also appear in Fallen as well, and they're going to appear in the 5th and 6th books as well. So they're important side characters to the story, as well are our characters in this book in Slaying. So in Slaying, we have 2 new characters that we're introduced to, and same type of thing, follows the same storyline. You're right. They come up more in Fallen. They're critical to the overarching main story. And I think their story of who they are can definitely be a standalone, but I do think it adds to Fallen knowing who they are. I think it adds a lot of depth to them, is knowing their story and kind of what's going on. Because when you read it from Misha and Asar's perspective of who they are, it's a very different reality than who the characters truly are. You don't get the full understanding of them without having read Slaying. Yeah, I would agree with you. I think I don't mind that we read it this way, but I wonder now that their books are all out, if I would recommend reading Lilith and Vale's story with 6 Scorched Roses and then reading this standalone and then reading Songbird. What do you think? Like that?
Because that'd be 2 standalones in between. So I feel like that'd be too many additions to the characters and as side plots to the main plot. So if I were to read Slaying before Songbird, I would probably read 6 Scorched Roses before Crowns of Nyaxia or the Star-Cursed King, just because I felt like that'd be too much filler.
Which is Carissa's recommended reading order. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Okay, fair enough.
So
all right,
let's get into this world that we're in now. So this is still Crowns of Nyaxia series, but we're in a human nation, a human continent called Galea. So this is far away from Obitrace, and we have our characters. Yes, we have a map, which is not included in the Kindle version.
And he's showing a map.
Is not included in the Kindle version.
Oh, it's not?
So it's nice to know that there is a map, because I read the Kindle version. I was wondering where the map is. And there it is.
Oh, there's a map.
It was but the layout of Galea, it honestly, not having the map, it wasn't confusing because the entire
No.
trip starts south and they head north. And that's basically all that they're doing the entire time is heading further and further
Yep.
north. So the map was, I mean, having a map would be nice, but it wasn't as confusing as some other fantasy books without a map. That gets really confusing. So we have
We're looking at you, Onyx Storm. We are looking at you, Onyx Storm. We are looking at you.
Yes, we love our maps. So we have new characters, like we mentioned. We have Selena, who is our FMC here. She's 25. She's human. Very important to note that she is 100% human. And she is a sister of the Arakessin, which is a cultish group that worships Acacia, the goddess of the fates. And then we have Atreus, who is our MMC. He is a vampire. He is an important leader of not the main army. This is kind of like the Land of Misfit Toys army because they are banned from race essentially for what they did in their bonding with Nyaxia and the blood curse. Essentially, Atreus' story ties into Septimus's older brother, who was the chosen one to stop the curse, the blood curse, and that didn't happen. So Atreus is kind of the aftermath, and I really liked how that connected because we do get Septimus's story in Ashes, and I was like, okay, well, that's important that his brother didn't actually save them and his parents held on tight to it, but there's all this aftermath after that we weren't familiar with just because we are following Orea's point of view, and obviously she wouldn't know that. Oh, I did like that, how it connected all those characters, and we're still getting more of Septimus's background, and obviously the Bloodborne vampires, those are really important in book 5 and 6. So, and I don't believe
And Atreus is,
do we know how
Septimus's cousin?
Yes,
he's
cousin
another key element. Yes,
do we know
first cousin. He's his cousin.
Do we know how old he is? Centuries, obviously.
Atreus?
Yeah.
He's centuries old. We don't know specifically how old, but yeah, he's definitely a vampire, and he's old as fuck. Like, your boy is old. We don't know exactly how old, but he ain't young.
No.
That's for sure. But we all just know that just makes him a better lover. We know the truth.
Ain't that the truth? It takes
So
centuries.
he must have drank a lot of pineapple juice in his youth. I don't know.
Do vampires? Well, I guess vampires don't need
It's just gonna be
juice or pineapple juice. That's not
No, they don't. They don't eat any human food.
Maybe they should.
It was a joke, Michelle.
Maybe they should. As we're going through these chapters, we're going to kind of chunk them up a little bit because there are major plot points that go throughout as the story is building. So we are going to go.
We got a lot of chapters.
Yeah, we got a lot. There's 51 total and in this entire book. So there's a lot of chapters. They're all from Selena's perspective because it's their book. And yeah, we're just going to chunk them together. So we have in chapters 1 through 3 is basically our introductions to Selena. Selena, part of the group of the Arakessin. They worship the goddess Asaja, the weaver of fates, keeper of the unknown, mother of sorcery. Those are essentially all of her titles. And it's really important to note that Selena is blind. She is blind by choice because that's a part of the Arakessin. They remove their sight over the period of a year with these like drops that take it away, which is god awful. Like, what?
And their children.
Their children.
Let's not forget that part.
And Selena is older than the rest of the girls who start because they tend to be very, very young. She was 10, and this is kind of a thorn in her side because she has like this trauma from her life living in poverty, living in a warlord's kingdom, essentially, that she's not able to blindly follow, which we love. She's not able to blindly follow, just like what the Sight Mother, who's like the leader of the Arakessin, essentially, like the head mistress, whatever, that causes a lot of conflict because she questions the leadership a lot, which we love, obviously. And in this chapter 1, we obviously get the introduction of the vampires who are coming in and conquering the Galea, which has never happened before. Vampires are all the way to fucking Obatrace, and they stay over there with Nyaxia and stay out of the human lands. But we have the vampires, and like, oh, this isn't good. We're gonna have to figure this shit out. And the Sight Mother's like, welp, Seija doesn't like this. I don't like this, but Seija doesn't like this, and we gotta get them out. And
Yeah.
guess what? Vampires have seers on them, and you know what? Seers are worshippers of a god. And I think this is a perfect time for Selena to show that she can do something with herself. So Selena devises a plan where she kills the seer of the Conqueror. Obviously, we know that's Atreus, and infiltrate his
Yes.
camp and becomes, part of his little entourage.
Yeah, and let's talk about the threads for a minute. So when you have her describing what she can see, there's an overemphasis on how she can see so much more because she doesn't have her vision. And she talks about how she doesn't miss it, but that she does, and all these different things that she's torn on. And there's comments to her, like little slights that are made by other random characters who come in and out. And specifically when she assassinates, because she's an assassin, when she assassinates the other seer, this seer talks about how ironic it is that a person who's blind and part of a cult would be her murderer, right? And there's this jab about her being a part of a cult. And so this kind of runs throughout the novel, talking about how the Eric Hessen really take advantage of the fact that their members are children and that they, quote, willingly give up their sight with these drops. But it's something that she really battles with ultimately. And it has a turning point and a relevancy as we go through the novel. But I really liked that part of the story. I liked that the character is blind. I don't like the dynamic of why, but I thought it was really interesting to understand this type of magic system because it's not one we've seen in this world yet. This is a goddess that you and I have liked most of the time
Not
historically.
after this book.
I had yeah, I had a different feeling about her after this. Asaja is just she's the goddess of the fates, right? She has multiple fingers, she has 6 wings on either side. I see her as a woman of color, she's described, and she's just incredibly beautiful, but like mystic
Terrifying.
almost in a way that yeah, like not in a traditional beauty sense at all, in like an ethereal sense,
Yeah.
like just all powerful. Anyway, so what I was getting at is that the group that she supports already from the start, that confrontation, which happens so early on in the book, is a very big tell of kind of this dynamic that our main character, female character, is going to kind of battle throughout this story of identity
Mhm.
and trying to understand where she fits in, what is right and wrong, because there's so much focus and emphasis on not morally right or wrong, but what is needs to
Right.
happen, what the just thing is that needs to happen. And it's not about a moral higher ground or low ground that whatever the right thing is by a Asaja is the thing that we're supposed to do.
On that note, it's important to know that it's Asasia, but it's actually the importance of whoever the human interpreter is, which is the Sight Mother, because the only one that talks to Asasia. So there's definitely corruption, which I think is a very big part in Carissa Broadbent's themes, anyways, in terms of like the gods and corruption and power and all of that. So it's really important to note there. And then with the threads, that type of magic, because you mentioned how complex it is, they literally use like and I know Danny, you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but there's a blind character in there, and it goes into this with the blind character, like everything's like dark, but she can see with like the vibrations of sound and stuff like that. So it like inverses how like the picture is, and that's what I was just picturing the whole time. And with the threads, like the threads are used to like communicate, they're used to sear, they're used to do basically everything. There's like when they fight, they like teleport kind of in a way to like bend time and
Yeah.
space and
She can go through
yeah.
pools. Yeah, she can use like water as a vehicle to move places through time. She can use these like what she calls a traveling pool. It's a really cool magic system. It's something we haven't seen in this series yet. I love Carissa Broadbent's ability to really just expand this world every time, and she did it again with this book, and it's so fun for her to be able to just create these characters that are incredibly dynamic in a world that is never ending. We know that there's only gonna be 8 books in this whole series, but I could legit, like, keep reading it if she kept writing
Mhm.
them. I would totally keep reading about this whole world.
Absolutely.
That leads us into chapters 4 through 9, so we're meeting the Conqueror. we're meeting Atreus, and I really liked his name, and I liked her name too, Selena, even though Chris always trips us up with her spellings of names. I don't know why she just does this to us, but she really does. But Atreus, I really liked his name, and the this whole section is kind of he falls first.
Very
He
quick.
at this beginning of this, he needs to find a seer. This is where she murders her, right? In these first couple chapters. And she makes herself known after this. She just waits in a pub, like a town over, for his guards to eventually accidentally be drinking in there one night and see her. And so she's super obvious, right? Because everyone knows because how she has this big giant red ass thing across her eyes that she's very obviously a seer and she's part of this cult following that everybody knows in the human lands. They live in the Salt Keep. This is like a very well-known thing. It's the equivalent of seeing someone in a uniform anywhere else. Like you see a priest sitting at a bar, you're going to remember that you saw a priest sitting at the bar. Same type of deal. This is like a well-known thing. She sets herself up there and she allows herself to get captured and she sort of forgets about House of Blood and that they use blood magic.
Mhm.
Like she remembers, but she then doesn't because as soon as the guy nicks her, he takes
Mhm.
her and kidnaps her, which actually I think honestly helps her story because I don't think she could have been convincing enough with Atreus had that not occurred. Because the more you think about it, the more you have to think she's such a good fucking fighter that how is she going to be like, oh, your guys just took me from a bar? She had to be unconscious. Like she had to, the story required that this blood magic incident happened where she gets knocked unconscious. She ends up in her own tent at this area and he waits a hot minute before going to go talk to her. And he makes a comment at the end of chapter 6 that there's something about her that he likes and but also like he doesn't know to trust her or not because she's from the Erekhessen and what's the deal here? Are they after you? What's going on? Like why are you just chilling at a pub? And she's, oh, I'm on the run. They're trying to find me. And he makes this comment that's highlighted a whole bunch of times and it's, you're lucky I have a soft spot for caged birds. So already you can tell and his bestie like leans
Eric
to him
kids.
to her later and yeah, I love him. Leans into him later, and his story is so heartbreaking. Carissa, why does she do
I
this to
know.
us? So it makes this comment, and so like he is in the he falls first situation. He's very much touch her and die as we go throughout this book, which we love. I loved him as a character. Physically, he has horns, which is not a typical vampire
No.
thing in this world. He's also exceptionally powerful, incredibly calm, very good at controlling his emotions. And remember, she has these threads. So she doesn't see this, but she can see it through the threads and she can understand whether he's lying or not, where anyone is lying or not. There are differences in how that's what makes her this incredible assassin and what makes this magic system really cool is she's able to have a lot of power in a way that you would traditionally think a blind person would not have these gifts and these powers. And what I also like about that is that it's the play on a lot of people who are ignorant think of a person with a disability as being disabled
Mhm.
or having not an ability as you. And it goes to show that all of our senses are very differently used. And just because they can't see does not mean that their hearing, all their other senses are not much better aligned than someone who has sight. And it plays into that idea that please don't underestimate someone just because of what they look like or what your assumption is of them. And Carissa plays into that very well in almost all of her books. She does a really good job of keeping you on your toes with saying, hey, whatever your biases are, you probably just shouldn't bring them here. So I like that about this character as well. But that brings us to chapter 7. She is shackled, of course, because they don't trust her. They bring her some nasty ass food. And Ericus kind of talks about how he's like assigned to her and he makes mention of, oh, she's like his type or whatever. She's obviously very beautiful. She doesn't see herself as this because it's not a thing in the world that she's in.
Mhm.
She's not a virgin, but she like doesn't get out much. It's not like she's some kind of partier, you know what I mean? While she's mentions that other people in her cult or whatever have had sex with different people that they've tried to kill as like part of the way that they
Use your vagina as
complete
a
a
weapon.
mission.
There
I've never done that before. I'm a virgin, whatever. She doesn't tell anyone this. This is just something you learn about as we go on. In chapter 8, she starts to realize that he is contradictory and she's really trying to understand him. He seems to be in a lot of pain. He never seems peaceful. Atreus is very tightly wound. She can't figure out why, but he just cannot be at peace. He's just really like rigidly structured and he cannot relax. This guy can't relax to save his life. She gets released by him and he's, yeah, go ahead and try and escape, but it's not going to end well. It's probably not a good idea for you to do that. You can if you want. I'm not forcing you to be here, but like everything is a choice. It's still a choice if you decide to stay. It's also a choice if you decide to leave, and choices have consequences. So up to you what you want to do now. Not a lot of choices there,
Nope.
really, but he threatens her with that. And then he takes her beyond the outskirts of camp to see if she can like do what she says, to see if she's a legit seer, is she going to actually add value to what's happened. And let's not forget to mention that nobody knows that she murdered the other seer because she does this like out in the woods. So he like waits a few days before they end up finding Selena at this pub and all of that. So he doesn't know that, and she's obviously planted there. But when she first goes to do this seer stuff, we realize how intense it is physically on her. She'll be like walking in these threads and her feet are bleeding. Like extremely intense magic, very powerful. She has to make a sacrifice to do this. So it's usually some type of animal. She hunts it herself. There's a fire that has to be built. There's a whole like multiple steps to how this all kind of plays out. And he wants to see what she can do if this works. And it's described as falling. Like as soon as she starts to get into this mindset, she like falls back into it. And it reminded me of Stranger Things when she's in like the room with the water and it's all black.
Yeah.
And she like first fall and like starts to see different things as they go on. That's kind of like how I thought of it. Like different threads start to come to light through this. And they're planning to take the next city of conquering throughout this world in Galea, and it's Alka. And there's this warlord there, and the Alka land in particular is built into stone and like of the sea. Remember Game of Thrones with Theon's sister?
Yes.
Yara Greyjoy of the Iron Isles. This made me think of the Iron Isles. So Iron Isles in Game of Thrones is very impacted by the tides and currents and all that. This is the same type of thing. This land in particular, or this like coastal depraved town, I guess you could even call it that, it's barely hung together. It's a bunch of drugged warlords that lived here, and all their people are drug addicts too. It's not a great situation because all these people are on drugs, which you think is because of the king. We'll get into that later. But drugged people and warlords are easier to control than sober people who can think for themselves and who are educated.
Yep.
Facts. Yeah. So he allows her, she falls in and determines where she's going to go from there. Leads us to chapter 9. She starts to see what her path would be and gets a little bit of an understanding, but then she deliberately starts to follow another path on purpose because she wants to learn more about Atreus and his story. And it's him and a younger man. There's an eclipse. There's a foreign mountain. Another man is standing before the goddess Nyaxia. And she talks about how breathtaking she is. It reminded me of when we first see Nyaxia in Serpent in the Wings of Night, and it's described of like galaxies in her hair and just like how just ridiculous Nyaxia is to be in the presence of. And there's a feeling of betrayal. We don't get the full story because Atreus wakes her up and sees that she's like kind of freaking out, right? And he like tries to wake her, which is very dangerous. She lies to him and is, you need to move to Alka under the full moon. And then the rest of the vision, she says, is the truth. But it really wasn't. It was a crescent moon in the dream.
And that leads to our next chunk, which is chapters 10 through 17. And this is essentially Selena's first mission in terms of being a part of the vampires, of being like the official seer. So they have to quickly move camp, and the only way they move camp is on foot and with their horses and carts and all of that. So they have to pack up
And
their
at night.
camp. Yeah, and at night, because remember, they're vampires, so they have to move at night. So they pack up their tent, they keep moving north. So again, they started at the very southern part of Glea, and now they're moving north towards Alka. And one thing that I really liked about these travel scenes, because it's just traveling for like a week or two at a time, you learn a lot about
Mm.
Ericus and how Ericus is just chatty and he's just such a fun character. And what Lena
He is.
does is like freak him out all the time because he forgets that she can actually see things. So she like teases him and spooks him all the time. But it's really important that he's sensing that there's something going on between Selena and Atreus. He senses that already because that's like his bestie ultimately. And that's where we get the comment that Selena is his type, which is beautiful, mysterious, dangerous, and obviously clear as the fucking moon mistake. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. And so they continue, they ride along, make a campsite, and as they're making this campsite, she tries to like test the boundary of how far she can actually leave because Atreus is like, never leave your tent unless it's with Ericus or with myself because these are vampires. And even while they understand like you're the seer, like you shouldn't be touched, they're still vampires, you never know.
They're
Yeah,
hungry.
they are
And you're
hungry.
human.
Yes. And these vampires tend to only feed on animals and what's around because Atreus actually has a strict moral code in terms of leaving like the humans alone.
Yep.
If they can be saved, as the good ones, the innocents, if they can be saved, they are left alone. So, but there's this
Yeah.
festival in the night. Every 5 years, they celebrate this festival in the House of Blood. And it's under the waxing moon, closest to the spring equinox. So they just happen to be on a festival night, and she's like wandering around and finds Atreus like going in on this buck, and she's just like, they have like this awkward stare down, and he's just like, you should leave.
Uh,
And she ends up, sneaking off and communicating with her site mother, and her site mother's like, why him? Our whole point is to like get him to conquer stuff. And she's like, but like there are innocent people there. And the site mother, and this is where you get the conflict because Selena's always focusing on the innocents. Like there's children there. And that's all she's focused on because she's thinking of herself. Because as a child, she was living in a war zone. And the site mother's like, there are also drug lords there. And that's the bigger picture. So she always battles with that. And
and also what is right and wrong.
right.
And the site mother keeps trying to like getting her to see that's not for you to decide.
Right. And the site mother,
Like you don't have a say.
right. And the site mother has raised her for the last 15 years. So this is a actual motherly figure to her. And so she looks up to her, but she still has like this conflict internally. And after this interaction, Ericus is pissed because he's just like, you got me in trouble. I told you to stay put. And she's like, everyone else was having fun. I should have fun too. Which, fair. Absolutely fair. But they're now getting ready because they have to march on Alka. And the whole point of a seer is to just like see what the future is, and you stay the fuck back. And Selena's like, that's not gonna work for me. I want to fight. So she has to prove herself to Atreus, which I thought was really fun because they actually like fought, and she was like kind of losing, not really, but she was like matching him at like beat for beat, and she uses the threads against him when she's like fighting with the sword because he challenges her and uses the threads and like defeats him. And like you can tell like he's mixed opinions because he's like, well, you beat me. I'm pissed that you beat me, but also like I've never seen the threads used before, and that's really cool. So she ends up and guiding them through Alka. It's a shit show of tunnels, essentially. Tunnels and bridges, and it's like literally carved into stone. And as they're going through, obviously there's this cool battle scenes. Atreus is a badass on the battlefield. He just is reacting, his reaction time. He's very thorough with killing, making sure it's the bad guys essentially. And these warlords are assholes and they make innocents come out. So like because they need bodies, like, just women, children, just people that are victims. And Atreus is very much like, okay, I'm gonna actually cover my sword and hold my sword way up high so I don't kill anyone. No
Accidentally.
one else,
Yeah.
you better touch anyone, and we're just gonna go through these tunnels. But Selena miscalculated, and they almost all drown, which,
Drowned.
that would have
Yep.
been awful. But she finds a way out. She essentially uses the threads to crack a hole in the tunnel in rock, and that's not something common that she can do to actually like bend the elements, which, she's like, oh, I'm so proud of myself, but also let me save everyone. And so she's
Mhm.
able to,
She also fucked up. Like,
right.
she realizes she's, oh shit, because I messed up the moon, it wasn't just, oh, whoopsies, we're at a different time of night. It's the wrong night.
The
No,
tide
the
came in.
moon impacts the
Mm-hmm.
tides. Yes. And now I almost just killed everyone, including innocent women and children that I didn't mean to. And so she was like, shit.
Let me fix it all. And obviously Atreus, at this point in time, he kind of knows what the fuck happened. But he's like, okay, let's get everyone saved. And she intentionally goes to each person and uses her thread to like bring them to a certain spot so they can go up to the next tunnel above them. So she orchestrates that very, very well. And they make it through. They get to the tunnel, or they get out of the tunnels. They get to the castle where Aves is. They're hiding out. And essentially Selena and
He's
Atreus,
a winner.
they go in by themselves because they're like, okay, we could wait for them, but we can take them on, essentially. And they have like this kind of their cutesy little moment, like, are there
Yeah.
many of them? Yeah.
How
Or
are there? How many?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it too many? No. And they just go and do it themselves, and that's repeated.
Never too many.
Never too
Yeah.
many. And they fight all the way up to Avis, and he's just like, the castle is just a shit show. Ultimately, like, they don't
Yeah.
take care of
Aves
it.
is horrible. I hate him.
And he tries to
No.
take his own life because he's like, you vampire scum aren't gonna take my life. And Atreus is like your life matters to me, and just like completely like rips his throat out with his teeth. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
badass. And then
Yeah. And also gross, but anyway.
yeah, but it's blood, yeah, but it's like drugged blood. Yeah. But this is where Atreus confronts Selena. He's like, you intentionally fucked things up. And she had to cover herself to make sure, like, times steering can go wrong and it's not always right and all that stuff. And he ends up, whatever, dismissing it ultimately and tells her to just go away. And this is where you see more of Atreus's moral code, because he intends on completely like ruling the city, and not ruling the city like it's been ruled, but like actually like making sure everyone's safe there. They're clearing out the town. He's like, you have nothing to fear. We are not the predators here. Although if you attack us, we may retaliate, but as long as like we're all good, like we'll make sure you are protected and nothing bad's going to happen to you. Which you kind of grow a heart for him, obviously, because he's
Yeah.
morally, I don't even know if he's morally gray.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's
No,
good.
I don't think he is morally
Yeah.
gray. No. He's only mortally gray in the sense that he kills a lot of people, but he's a warrior.
He's
Like,
killing the
he's
bad people.
doing conquering for war. He's killing bad people.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't think he's morally
No,
gray.
I don't think so either.
I think he's grumpy,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's morally gray.
Yeah.
Chapters 18 through 19, we start to see Selena and Atreus' relationship start to grow. We have to understand that Selena has a lot of ability with these threads, including a healing power. There is what she knows of with his health is that he's chronically not in a good way. Like, he's very upset all the time, is what she initially thinks. And he's not at peace and this type of thing. And there's a question where he like asks her, are you able to heal an old injury? And she's like, I don't know, but I'll try. And so she places her palm to his chest, and then she can feel why he's never at peace. And it's because he has this like decaying thing that's part of a bloodborne curse that's bound to him. And she immediately pieces together, was this Nyaxia? What is this thing that's tied to you? And she kind of pieces together that the horns and the curse are both like part of what she saw in the vision. She can't figure out exactly like what the story is here, but she's what the hell? And like it's starting to decay his soul like bit by bit, and it's extremely painful. She takes the threads of this curse and starts to literally like peel and heal certain parts of these threads over time. And she like helps him while he's falling asleep. He finally starts to sleep, and she's able to lay next to him while she's doing this, and they end up both passing out because this exudes a lot of energy for her as well as she's trying to heal him. And so they have this relationship start to build. She wakes up to him cuddling her, and like maybe a little bit of a surprise there against her backside. And she's, oh, and then he's, oh, sorry. There's nothing going on here. And so this happens over several nights. Finally, on the 5th night, she just starts going to his room by herself to help him with this. There's no sex or anything. There's not even any kissing. This is like a very slow burn that happens over
It is
time.
very slow.
It takes
Yeah.
a while before this starts to heat up.
But, like, healing him, like, it's not like she's, like, standing off to the side. Like, at one point, she's literally straddling the guy. He is on top of him, so it is kind of well, it's
Well, it's in his
intimate.
chest.
Yeah, it's intimate,
Yeah.
but it's also, like, kinda sexual in a little bit of a way because she's literally just, climbing on his lap and just which, do I blame her? No.
There has to be a certain level of trust, right? For you to get that close to him. He is the conqueror. He says he doesn't trust her, but clearly, like, he wants to desperately.
Yeah.
And I think he definitely does way before she does. There's definitely a level of trust there that he has for her that she does not return for some time.
Plus
It takes her a while
Right.
before she's convinced.
Plus he gets the physical feeling of relief, even just for a little bit, because it is just
Yeah.
for a little bit. And he gets that from her, and that just he's honestly kind of a soft soul ultimately. Like that all he wants is for his people to be happy and be at peace. And that's literally
Yeah,
they
finally.
have this
Yeah.
he has his own little unit, which is very different from any sort of vampires that we've seen thus far, because these units or this unit is like they actually care about each other and they're working together for each other's happiness ultimately and each other's peace. And it's not like the other vampire clans in Obertrace where it's like, we're going to conquer for power and that's it. And everything's cutthroat. And, if you have children, the children are going to like usurp you. So we're going to kill our children and all that stuff. And that's not really the vibe here. They're a very different type of community that when they work together this way. So I don't know. They're humanized ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely have a lot more humanity than the other vampires we've seen so far in this world. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's what being scorned would do to you. Like we just have each other ultimately. And that is linked to Septimus's brother, and his parents literally like kicked them out. You can't come back here. So until Nyaxia gives them the ability to go back. It actually removes the curse from the Bloodborne. So next chunk, we have chapters 20 through 28, which is Selena. This part's hard for her because the next place they're going is Versailles. And this is where she grew up as a child. And throughout this text so far that she has severe childhood trauma. When she was 6, she literally, when they were in the water, like someone was trying to drown her. Like, can you imagine being 6 years old and having that, like someone's literally trying to drown you? And when she is 9, she is going through like war zones, seeing people like really just grotesque because they're just murdered or drugged out, and awful. She has an awful childhood, and now she has to come face to face with it. So
parents die, her sister dies.
Mhm.
The only person left is her brother. Then she thinks her brother gets blown up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bad.
Very, very much so. So this is kind of, and she's never been back to Versailles because the Sight Mother thinks that she would want to take revenge on Tarkin, who is Versailles' warlord, essentially. And that goes against what the Eric Hessen are. You're not supposed to take revenge. You're just supposed to enact what the fates want. So this is something reopening some old wounds for her. And they leave Alka. They have like a week or so that they have to travel over there. But besides gonna be a bigger challenge because Tarkin, he's a ruthless warlord, and Atreus is like, it's fine. It's yeah, their army's vast, but they're like clumsy. And Selena has to make sure that he knows is like, yeah, because those are children. There are a lot of children in his military. A third of his
Yeah,
military is children.
slaves.
Most of them are slaves, period. And a third are just child slaves. So, that changes things. And that actually ends up changing their plan because she sears for him and she falls into the sea of blood. She pulls herself up, and then she's face to face with like her sister dying and bodies everywhere, and then this 13-year-old boy guiding her, which we know now that's Narrow. And she's like, no, this is gonna be bad. There's blood everywhere. We're gonna win, but there's blood everywhere. And
At a
they
cost.
they come up with
Yeah.
this plan like, wait, I'm an assassin. Why don't I just go? And at first, Atreus is like, yeah, right. I'm not. Yeah, you're too valuable to me, so I'm not going to send you. And she's like, no, no, no. Let's actually come up with a plan. So they actually both end up going, save his military, save all the innocent people, and they're just gonna go take out this one guy. And Selena has to ultimately dress up like a concubine, pretend like she's going to Tarkin
Yeah.
for a good old time. So she
Yep.
has to wear a drape over her face anyways. It covers all of that. So it was a pretty solid costume for her.
Plan.
And
Yeah.
she goes up to she gets guided up to the castle and ends up letting Atreus in through a window. So they're both there, and they confront Tarkin, and there's two guards there as Tarkin's like, waiting for them ultimately. And one of the guards ends up being Naro, her brother, and he recognizes her first, which is crazy because she has her face covering. She looks different. It's been 15 years. But he says Vivi, which is her actual name. Selena is the name chosen by the site mother when she, became an Arakessan. So Vivi is her actual name, and she has this like, she needs to kill Tarkin, and Atreus actually gives her the in so she can do the final blow because that would mean so much more to her. But then because Naro is like, no, that's my king warlord person. You can't, like, that's his person that he's been protecting, and that's, because he's drugged out. He thinks like that's his savior and that sort of thing. So he starts tweaking out, and it just becomes this big thing. Ultimately, Tarkin dies because Atreus takes him out, but Selena has to, with her threads, which I find is really cool. With her threads, she can basically make someone pass out or like alter their emotions
Yeah.
and stuff, which is a very cool aspect of their powers. Essentially made sure Naro is just like knocks out, and hopefully that helps him, get over his drug addiction. But it's not a smooth road for him at all.
No.
After Tarkin dies, obviously the city falls apart immediately. The vampires go in, clean house. Selena waits for Nara to wake up. It takes him days, ultimately, and she
Yeah.
gets to the point where she thinks he's dead. But like, if you are an addict and you are going through withdrawals, the process of going through that is like you get like a little bit of a time so your body doesn't literally shut down on itself. So she has to navigate through that. When he is awake, it's all anger because his life, he thought she was dead. She thought he was dead. It's not a happy get together because he gets upset that it's like, you're a vampire and you murdered the Thorn King. And he's just delusional. And that's usually what happens when you're groomed from a young age to
Yeah.
believe that someone's there to help you when they're there to help yourself. So it's really sad. Again, we love that his story comes full circle and he beats his addiction and all that. It was definitely rough for her. But this is also where, in chapter 26, that Atreus and Selena's relationship really takes the next step because Atreus promises that Nara will be safe, that, he will always have a place for her, and how they have this conversation how the past is devouring both of them and they each crave someone hurting like themselves. They want someone because of their past and they kiss. They have their first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the book. So slow burn for sure, but we're here for it.
Yeah.
And she ultimately tries to make the move to take things up a notch because she wanted
She
more.
does.
She wanted more of Adrian.
She's battling with herself too of saying, "What would the site mother want me to do?" And but then she's, "No, but I do really like him," and she's really conflicted.
Mhm.
I think it's worth mentioning too, she starts to call out her brother, and then she realizes that they're the same in the sense that they were both children who were basically manipulated by adults
Yeah.
in very different ways, but with the same kind of result. They're not themselves anymore. Selena doesn't even go by Vivi anymore, her given name, and her brother are just unrecognizable people to the kids that they were. And I thought that was a really interesting parallel. Carissa Broadbent always does a good job of kind of painting the picture in that way, and I thought she did a really good job here. Selena realizes her hypocrisy as she's talking to her brother, which says a lot about Selena's character and how much she changes in this book. Her arc and how much she starts to realize, how much she realizes that, and I think this is talks to the kiss that she shares where she's conflicted with what's going on, and she doesn't know what to do with this because Atreus is supposed to be, without a doubt, this morally black guy,
Mhm.
this easy to hate murderer. And he's not,
Nope.
simply put. And it's not that simple and it's not that clear cut. And you see that with her brother. And she sees that right away of the site mother's telling me all this, but look at literally everything else. This doesn't add up. And here I am yelling at my brother, telling him what a piece of shit he is, but who am I to say that I made myself blind? What do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like she's able
And
to piece that together. Yeah. Yeah, and she's able to acknowledge that. I think that's a really key part. I know we're kind of doing the broad overview, but I thought that was a really key, interesting part of this
Mhm.
story.
No, I agree. Carissa explores trauma, specifically childhood trauma, very much throughout all of her books and does a really good job in having her characters understand how that impacts them. Like, and they meet their trauma and overcome it in a way. So I really do like how she acknowledges it kind of not early on, but she does acknowledge it. And that leads into chapter 27. This is where Selena's like, well, I gotta help my brother because he's basically dying. And this is where she gets a little Pithora seed, which is like literally a sprouted seed, like that they either huff, but she makes him eat it, and that helps him overcome his addiction slowly but surely. And it's important here in this chapter that this is where she gets called through thread whispering by Asha or Aisha, from which is like her one of her close friends ish in the Arakessin, and she's actually outside the city with the site mother. She didn't know the site mother was there. Selena tells the site mother essentially that she thinks Atreus would actually be someone that they should ally with and then use that to take on the king. Because the Arakessin essentially this whole time has been trying to take down the Pithora king, which, we all know was a big fucking lie at the end. But at this point in time,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, there's this big bad king, and this guy who's a vampire who's supposed to be bad is actually trying to take down the king who's been drugging us and starving us and doing all these bad things. So might be a good idea to maybe, ally with him. And immediately site mother's like, disapproval. Asaja disapproves of him and his mission. I don't give a fuck if he's doing things that are good. Your feelings are getting involved. And I know, like, she always gaslights her and brings up her childhood, which is like,
Yeah.
it's true, but it's like, you're just doing this because you were traumatized. It's like, that's such gaslighting. No, she has feelings as an adult too. Like, yes, some of her feelings might be linked to childhood trauma, but like, that don't belittle what she's
Every
feeling.
single thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I immediately did not like the site mother
No, I hated
No,
her.
immediately, and then later when we see the dream or when she's tried to sear for the next place, I was just like, "She's evil, evil." But at this point in time, this is where Selena still, like, holds on to her because she's, a motherly figure, and the Sight Mother gives her a dagger that's blessed and says, "After Kerosene, which is where they're going next, you're going to kill him, and remember, you have no brother. Vivi doesn't exist. You need to remember
Oh,
that."
yeah.
And that's, like, such
Yep.
manipulation and, there's so many to how their Keston just functions, and it's awful with manipulation
It's bad.
of children, yeah. But ultimately, this chapter ends with chapter 27 ends with that, and then chapter 28, Atreus is waiting for her to return at her window, and he offers to have Naro come along with them and have bloodborne healers help him with his addiction. He ultimately stays, but the bloodborne healers do help him, and that just lifts
Yeah,
such a
like a lot.
weight off her shoulder because that's all she wants.
Yeah.
Um, and ultimately
Yeah, and there's this moment too about loss where there's this conversation where it's been said multiple times that like these vampires in particular, like you mentioned earlier, understand the feeling of losing their families, understand being relocated from their homes, understand loss of that specific kind. And this is a kind of proof to that with Atreus that her brother comes back in. And interesting to notice again this parallel of the people that are supposed to be protecting her and love her and the people she's given her life to immediately are, you don't have a brother. Whereas the guy who's supposed to be evil and supposed to be this horrible, horrific person is here. Let me help your brother. I have
right,
vampire healers or to come and help him. The complete opposite of what she's been taught this whole
right.
time. I thought that was interesting.
No, I did like that parallel that she draws that her is supposed to be good, likely evil, and, you find goodness in un unsuspecting. So, ultimately, Naro wakes up and he agrees. He's like, "Fine, all the healers heal me." And he has this whole healing process off page that we see. We don't see until later on the effects of what happened there.
Yeah. And then we jump to chapters 29 through 35. We're going to talk about this failed attack at Kerosene. And she's still healing him. And there's a couple days that go by and they're waiting and waiting for Atreus's cousin. Ultimately, his cousin's supposed to come from this island where the rest of his family is in this additional group of support that's supposed to come to help take Kerosene. They're supposed to help with this whole mission. And there's this sense of uneasiness in chapter 30 as we get into this. And Selena and Atreus ultimately decide she's going to see her to see what's going on here because there's something not right. She feels like there's something not right. And they need to understand what's going on at Veritas, so which is where they're located off the coast, basically, of the next place that they're supposed to attack. And he didn't have the bodies because at this point now he's lost men over a certain amount of time, and the next place that they're supposed to take is huge. It's another huge area that's fortified, etc. And so to be able to take this place, he needs support. So this is what he's waiting on. She, again, falls back, has this whole image. I thought it's really tough. I feel like all of her books the imagery is so intense in all of them. But in this one, I feel like a movie that's not animated would work well for this. If you're going to do a live action of any of the books, I think the two novellas would make really good live action films. And this one in particular has so much war and things like that. Granted, there's some CGI and things like that with the war scenes. But anyway, I visually thought this was really
No,
cool.
I agree because you don't have these are the bloodborne vampires. They're not the winged vampires. So you don't have like anything,
Right.
out. It's cool with the magic and all the threading, but you don't have like any sort of additional CGI that kind of looks funky sometimes. So I agree. I think this would be
No,
the
yeah.
best book of all of them to actually make a live action adaptation for.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, none of them have wings, whereas Vale does have wings. In this standalone, these are not winged vampires. Important distinction. He has horns, but I feel like
You can add horns,
we can
fine.
do that
If
without the
Beast had
CGI. Yeah,
horns, it's
we can add that in. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on. So she falls back into the threads. And there's a reason, too, is the reason I say that I think it would work, as I mentioned Stranger Things, where you could easily visually make this without a ton, with the other visual elements that I think would work really well to tell this story. She falls into seemingly the island, and there's bodies everywhere. They're littering the sand. She can't make out who they are.
the fucking Sight Mother.
She thinks they're rocks at first, like she's walking, and she thinks they're rocks at first, and she trips over one and realizes it's Atreus's like severed head. So it's
Graphic.
bad. There's a walking figure. It's the Sight Mother. There's bloody footprints everywhere. She pours hot blood into Selena's hands, and she like disappears.
Evil.
So she paints this like image.
Evil.
Yes, which is also a nod to the fact that the Sight Mother's clearly evil. But she doesn't piece this part together. She thinks the Sight Mother is like trying to warn her or whatever.
Like giving her
She doesn't
boiled
really
blood.
piece together the vision. But she doesn't really piece it together. She doesn't piece together the vision at the time, which we probably should have, but I also didn't.
Really?
I was like, oh, wow. No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah. I was like, she's at that point in time,
Yeah.
I'm like, she's the one, she did it. She's the one that did this. She's
You
the
knew?
one putting the hands, essentially. She's like passing on, like making it so
The literal blood
Yeah.
is on her hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and for this loss, and that she's the one orchestrating everything, because they wouldn't have known. These warlords they don't have magic, they don't have communication, they wouldn't have known. Who has she been communicating with this whole time? The Sight Mother. So at this point in time, I knew that she was either the one in the castle
smart,
or
Michelle.
puppeteering. I'm very skeptical with Mother Gothel. Basically, she's a Mother Gothel. So
She is a Mother Gothel. She totally is. Yeah, I was like reading for vibes at this point. I was just like, oh, when are they going to get to one in over here chilling? And I'm just like, oh, okay. She's crazy. And Michelle's like, it's the evil bitch right there. And I'm just like,
always one
Atreus.
to find them.
Yeah. Heal Atreus. He's a good guy. I'm over here. It's fine. So, chapter 31, she returns to her body. Atreus is kneeling beside her. Something's wrong. And poor Ericus, his whole family and his child are on this island. So, it takes a while for everybody to imagine this is a bunch of warriors. They all have to get boats now and try to figure out how the fuck they're going to get over there, because this was not the plan. They were supposed to go to them. So, it's this whole thing. They have to get this whole settlement packed up, put everybody together. They get on the boats, they go out there. They land onto the sand, and there's nothing. She can't feel anything. Remember, Selena can feel other people around, which is why she leads everybody in the first place, because she can feel other souls. And this is why she can't find the Pythora seed, because the seed of the drug itself isn't a living thing. So she's like looking for people, and she can feel people. And she's like, something is like really off. I don't know what it is. It's really off. This was incredibly graphic. I know we put a disclaimer, but this in particular, this scene was like really graphic. Staked to the trees above them, hundreds of innocent people that there's just blood raining down on them from these bodies above them, and they're still alive. So explosives start to hit, actually. They get under attack, and there's soldiers, and there's just death everywhere. Atreus is basically with her, and she passes out. She ends up with a healer in his tent, chapter 33, and they actually killed all of the Pythora King's men. They didn't leave the island. Like, he was very particular about that because of the brutality that they did to the rest of his kin, basically, that were left. It was a very graphic scene. It truly highlighted that there's the good guys and the bad guys here, and it's not who you thought. And if there was ever a single doubt, there is absolutely no doubt by the time you get to chapter 33 and chapter 32. There's no doubt. You already knew this, but for sure now.
Right.
There's not even a question. Poor Ericus, his only child, who was 10 years old, was killed, and he's not in a good place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a really bad situation. Atreus makes this comment that there's an understanding between her pain, because now she's just like really destroyed by this too. This just takes a toll on a person at a certain point. There's only so many things that you can see And this particular massacre, because that's what this is, it just really fucks all of them up. It's bad. There's a comment that she makes, and it's, I live in dark stories. I've been living in yours for nearly 4 months. And if you're going to invite me in, she pushes against his chest and says, I already see you, Atreus, and I'm not afraid. So they have this moment, and she finds out what happened to him with Nyaxia. He met a prince that was supposed to be able to save the House of Blood from the curse that Nyaxia had put on them, and that they committed for hundreds of years, basically, all these really terribly atrocious things in Nyaxia's name. And they finally went to her to ask for, hey, do you forgive us now? We've claimed all these places. We've done all these sacrifices for you. We've done all these things. And of course, Nyaxia, being herself, laughs at them. Yeah. And says that the disrespect of their ancestors can never be forgiven. No.
That bitch.
And then she kills him. Yeah. She kills him and puts a curse onto Atreus and basically says that you're banished until you can conquer a land in my name. So
Wild.
the first gift you get is your curse. And the second gift that you will get is you're going to have to conquer a land in my name if you really want this to happen. So after that, they have a passionate kiss after this. And then this part, I was like, really? This is where we have our first time?
In the
But
rocks.
okay,
Against the rock.
literally. Oh my God. She's human after all. Come on.
At least
And how many showers has she had at this point? My God.
at least they weren't like in
Anyway.
the sand. I will give her that, because that wouldn't be
Whatever.
uncomfortable.
Okay. So obviously they have spicy time, right? It's written well. I like the writing style of this, but I always like to see some hygiene because I'm strange. So that was the only
You
thing that
said
bothered
with
me, where I was just
serpents.
like, your girl.
Was it Yeah,
I
it was
know.
serpents that after the sewers they have sex.
It's the same thing.
They were just
Literally, like UTI City. Like, what are we doing? She's a human. So anyway, that was going through my mind again. But whatever, romantasy, let's write it off. It's part of the fantasy. She's after all banging a guy that is not a guy. He's a vampire with horns that's plagued by a curse. She also can't see and uses magic. Am I really worried about the right things here? I don't know. But it's just a thought that I have as these things happen. Whatever. I'm not alone here. I know that.
I did think it was interesting here that he like drank from her, and because usually that's like taboo, and they don't really, there's just an understanding, like they don't even talk about that being an aspect of like his existence very much. And then he's just like, I'm gonna drink from you, and that's it, and we're just gonna skate past that. And that's just gonna be it.
Yeah, it's not talked about.
I thought that was interesting.
But would she really even know that was taboo? No.
No, I mean, they do that. So that's like a sexual thing that they do. But I just thought it was very interesting. Like, we're not going to talk about like how I want to drink your blood like ever, except like when I'm down there, and that's when I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because he bites her leg, like the inside of her leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep. Good time. Don't get an inn. We get the ocean instead.
Oh boy. Okay.
So next we have
our girl doesn't even get a bed.
No. So next we have basically conquering the Pythora King, because that's their end goal. So chapters 36 through 42 is their next step here, because they're all hurting, but they all have to basically like realize we have a goal here. And this is where Atreus kind of is like, my men have been through so much, and now this. Should I just turn back and go home? Like, but I have no home to go to. Like, what should I do? And this is where Selena kind of comes in, is like, this is your mission. We're gonna go do this. And she ends up rallying Ericus, who has been, my boy's like stabbing the sand because he's just like,
yeah, he's not well.
He's fucked up. And she's like, well, what do you say we get some revenge on this guy that killed your daughter? And he's like, yeah, man. So obviously we want that for him. And this is where they're realizing that they need to come up with a plan. But also here it's important that Selena, so she's a virgin up until this point, She actually has a chastity vow, and she wasn't doing this in the name of I'm going to manipulate him and then kill him. Like, she was kind of doing this for her own pleasure. So she has like guilt for breaking her vows to Asasia, and she has this dagger that she's supposed to kill him with, but she realizes here, she's like, I won't kill him and I can't kill him. I'm just not going to do this. Like, she has it in her head, like, we can't do this, and we also can't
Yeah, I can't.
we can't take kerosene. So we have to figure out a plan. And their plan is like the most awful plan possible. There's this place called
Not good.
Zadra's Pass, and essentially there are these cliffs, jagged cliffs that they have to skirt around for, typically would take 2 weeks. They're going to do it in one, and they're going to go around kerosene, this Zadra's Pass, and oh wait, everything's fogged. Like, you can't see shit. So Selena's the only person that can see. The blind girl is the only one that can see anything here. And there are also these like monster things that are like
Yeah.
snakes, lizards with
Lizards.
wings that like just eat the shit
But
out
not
of you.
dragons.
Not dragons. They're like serpentine with lizard things with wings that are
Yeah.
very aggressive. And yeah, so they have to like watch out for those things, and obviously
Slivics.
the Slivics. And they come face to face with one because as they're going, they have to rest. It's kind of hard to like walk, I would, through these cliffs, and they're at a high altitude. It's just a big journey, and Selena's a human too, so they need a rest.
Fuck.
It's a lot. And a Slivic comes and takes Atreus, of fucking course, and they have to like battle that. And fortunately, it was just a baby. And everyone around her's like, the fuck? What do you mean that was an adolescent? And they're like, okay, well, hopefully no more come along. Joke's on them. They're towards the end. They're like 2 miles away from the end. There's this big ass nest, and there's like 50 of them. They're like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? Like, we can't turn back, and they're gonna eat us.
No.
So they like devise a plan, essentially, because when Selena's like trying to see, she realizes that there's like a rival nest somewhere off in the distance a little bit.
Yes.
So they basically lure the Slivics from one nest
Bait
to
them.
another nest,
Yeah.
and have them like go at it just so they can like kind of skirt by and get through. So it was just a shit show, honestly. And they like, they're exhausted and like starving. They're exhausted and starving, and they did this for like a week of just like climbing this mountain pass. That's like, they could do it for a week though because it's all foggy. So they're literally no sun penetrated, so they can actually like go whatever time of day, which was nice for them because vampires and whatnot. And then when they come out, they are, they're in, and there are soldiers there. They're like, what the fuck? How did these soldiers know? There's no way they could know, because the Pythora King, he keeps himself secluded because, all power-hungry warlords are afraid that their power will be taken from them. So how do we like prevent that?
Yes.
We keep ourselves in isolation. But his soldiers knew that we were coming. Okay. And actually, there's this battle. Selena and Atreus they go ahead. They're like, we're just gonna go to the Pythora King, and we're gonna fucking kill him. And
they have that same dynamic, that conversation of like, how many are there? Too many? That conversation happens again between them, which is cute. And she's no, there's not too many. So they have this other moment of if there's too many or not. So I think this is the third time that this happens by now, where they have the knowing moment between them, and they decide, nope, there's not too many. We're gonna go for it.
Which is their like little cutesy thing. But the castle is off because there's like no one in there. They're able to like walk up the castle.
Yeah, and she keeps feeling around.
And she's like, there's no one here. And they get to the throne room, and they see the king there, and he's kind of alive-ish. He's an animated corpse, essentially. He is like slashes on his throat, tears in his chest, a brutal mark over his heart. Like, he was just animated. And guess who the fuck comes up? The Sight Mother places a hand on his shoulder.
Yes.
That bitch.
And I was like, I knew it. And Michelle was like, I knew it. Actually.
I've been known it.
I've been known it. Yeah. So, betrayal of the Sight Mother was what we're calling this next section. Chapters 43 through 45. Selena, in her infinite wisdom, is, did you do this to the king? And it's, what?
Selena.
Obviously. Girl, come on. And she's, yeah, I came here to meet you. And that the Pythora king hasn't been a man for a long time. There's power in suffering. Of course there is. And she keeps going on and on. Selena's, does this mean that I've been fighting against a king who doesn't exist? She's like having all these thoughts in her head. And yeah, girl,
Can we
obviously.
piece it together?
Yeah, please. But at the same time, you have to remember this is like her mother figure. She was taken as a child.
Yeah.
While it's obvious, she also doesn't want this to be true.
Right.
This is not something she wants to be true. This is an ultimate betrayal of epic proportions. There isn't a bigger betrayal than this. And Selena would have never known if she had just obeyed what her mission was and killed
Gaslighting.
Atreus. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's like, if you had just, the Sight Mother's, if you had just killed Atreus, then you wouldn't have known either. But now that you do know, I'm going to welcome you into this cool club now, because now that we'll see what's going to happen to you. And she's, Saja's, hopefully she'll forgive me. And then she's, you can't kill Atreus though, because he's God touched, because now she knows that he is God touched by getting a mission from Nyaxia. So she comes up with this plan on the spot. Selena does, because she can't cope with all of this, and she also can't have Atreus die. It's just not something she's willing to accept, because the Sight Mother would have killed him right there on the spot. And she's all powerful, so she could have. And so then Selena's just, no, like he's God touch. And wouldn't it be this great gift if Asasia was given him like on an altar? Let's do that. So she passes out, of course, because she gets sedated by the Sight Mother. Chapter 44 is like a dream sequence where this is where we first find out about the pineapple juice between her Nero and her brother Nero and her when she was just a little girl. They were sipping pineapple juice in a cracked cup, and they have this little moment as children. Selena wakes up in the salt keep and she's, what the fuck just happened? Was all of that a dream? What is going on? And she's invited to the Sight Mother's like private wing. She is told to like get dressed in this nice gown. They're all given these intricate gowns as part of the Salt Keep. They each have an intricate gown, but almost none of them ever get to wear it, because it's only if you're going to meet Asasia, which almost never happens. So most of the people there don't ever get to wear their dresses. So she gets told, yeah, you're going to meet her tonight. Selena's terrified, as she should be, because she doesn't really know what to expect. So there's a dinner that's really awkward, and
Wine. Lots of wine.
Yeah, it's awkward. And the Sight Mother says only myself and two other advisors know what's been going on. And Selena's faith is, we'll have to see what happens. You're supposed to bring rebirth, and you'll be the future of the Erikessin. Of course, the Sight Mother has a very different understanding of what that looks like. They go up to the top like of this keep. So they're like literally at the top floor. I guess you could, like on the roof, I would think of it like that, where there's this platform where Atreus, Ericus, and 5 other warriors are like bound and gagged. And she can feel everything, remember? So she can feel Atreus's betrayal, but like he loves her. He's really having a hard time grappling with this. She can feel all of this from him. And Selena has to like just push all this down, because the Sight Mother needs to believe that Selena wants redemption from her, from the Sight Mother, from Asasia, like that she will stand by and let all of them die, and that she believes it's the right, just thing. And she needs the Sight Mother to believe this. So the Sight Mother's drunk, and she has a hard time walking to the altar. And she then uses her strength to open this path to Asasia, which is pretty creepy, because she literally like throws her head back and like light comes out of her palms and her mouth and like her eyeballs, and this fire's lit, and it's like a hearth, like this massive fucking bonfire that you've ever seen. Yeah, so it's pretty like intense to say the least. Yeah, and it moves us over to chapters 46 through 48.
So this is where the gods come in, because that's ultimately what they're going to do. And there's a quote, "There's no greater offering to a god than the acolyte of another." And here, this is where like the Sight Mother and everyone else would be like, yeah, we, meaning Atreus, That's the acolyte. And here we know that that actually wasn't Selena's plan after all. And she goes to Atreus, cuts his bindings, then gives him the dagger. Atreus then kills the Sight Mother, pours her blood onto the altar. And now we have the attention of two gods. Yep. So we have Astasia, who is, in terms of the White Pantheon, Astasia is the one that tolerates Nyaxia. She doesn't hate Nyaxia. Did she also kind of like behead Nyaxia's husband? Yes. But, you know, she tolerates her. And Nyaxia obviously does not fuck with the White Pantheon because of what they did to her. So in chapter 47, Nyaxia appears and Atreus gives her the Sight Mother's head. And she's like so pleasantly surprised. She's like, you give me a kingdom and the head of an acolyte? How wonderful. Like, she's thrilled. And you've never seen her so thrilled. And obviously, like, this is...
Yeah, she's like super happy.
Well, but this is a good moment for her because literally, like, they served her husband's head. So she's like, yes, this is what I want. How did you know? Like, yes, you know me so well. And then Astasia appears. And Astasia, she has 6 wings on each side, offer a glimpse into the past, present, or future. We've seen her before, but her beauty is very different. Where Nyaxia is like, her beauty is stunning, but it's like fucking scary because she has like blood on her face.
Yeah, you're gonna look away.
Yeah, where Astasia, you kind of want to study a little bit more what is going on because there's a lot going on there too. And they argue. They end up bickering because Nyaxia is a petty bitch, which we don't blame her for being one, but she is. And Astasia's like, what the fuck? I've tolerated you. I've honestly helped you more, which we know in the duology series. Like, she's actually, you know, pretty helpful for the most part in terms of Nyaxia's children, in terms of just like, you know, not intentionally screwing Nyaxia over. But here, you know, if you kill an acolyte, it's a big deal because these are like devoted followers to the gods, and there's nothing the gods love more than people who love them because that's power and that's what they like. And Astasia agrees that Nyaxia has been wrong. She's like, listen, I get it. Like, we probably fucked up. We did something. I understand that. But you crossed the line here, and there will be consequences. You can keep her head, but just know for later on. And I think this is a lot of foreshadowing here. Obviously, it's the Crowns of Nyaxia series. We know that this is just, it's going to go down in the next books after this. But Astasia warns her. And then Selena claims responsibility and offers her life in payment. Nyaxia's like, yeah, see? Life for a life. We're good. We're good. And Astasia touches her chin. So now she's officially God-touched also. So she touches her chin and tells her that she does not want her death. Her life is going to be more useful to her. And this is when Astasia leaves with her final warning. And then Nyaxia lifts the curse from Atreus, and the other vampires slump over, overtaken by the magic to remove the curse. So she's happy. And then she leaves. Selena wakes up in her room. Her senses somehow shift from being God-touched because, you know, that would do that. Atreus was waiting for her to wake up with the dagger in his hand, and she's just like, oh, fuck, he's going to kill me. But he's like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's what she thinks the whole time. And he still has the horns.
He still has the horn.
Nyaxia, come on, girl.
They make a joke. He's like, you still have the horns. And he's like, I mean, I guess Nyaxia is not described as kind. Like, she couldn't be too kind to do that. But no, she's like, this is a sick fucking joke for her. And he couldn't kill her because he knows her, and that's ultimately like why she couldn't kill him, because she knows him. And they kiss at the end, and they also share this really important moment where she takes off her blindfold, which is kind of her last move against the Arakessin, because that's such a sacred thing. And she tries to like actually, like, she opens her eyes and sees a blob of him. Not actually sees him, but you know. It's like,
and she can see some stuff like super up close.
Like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So
like what, Michelle? She's like about to hit herself in her own face.
1 inch away.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that gives us to our resolution of this story, bringing us to chapters 49 through 51. Selena, being the complete opposite of the Sight Mother, is let's have a meeting with all the sisters. And all the sisters are like, fuck you. You betrayed our Sight Mother. We hate you. So she takes a couple of days after this all goes down. Asha, her friend from her OG friend from the beginning and who meets up with her later, is not about this. And she realizes, like, through the threads that, like, Asha's not going to come around. She's never going to forgive her. She ends up getting half of the sisters to believe her story of what happened and that she's not a murderer just trying to seek power the same way as the Pythora King or the same way as what they believe Atreus to be, because they weren't there. They only know the version that the Sight Mother has spun for them, and they've been in the Salt Keep like this whole time. But at the same time, like, they have threads too. So, like, they can tell if she's lying or not.
Right.
They can tell if she's telling the true story. They can tell through her emotions and the emotions of the rest of the vampires and, like, the whole deal. Everyone's going to make their own choice. It goes to show that even in the face of complete and utter honesty, people, that it's just not enough for some people. Some people always want more than that, or they want something completely undeniable, which she's giving them, and it's just they're still just never going to
They
side
want their
with you.
own
It
truth.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, they want their own truth and what they
Yeah.
believe is right, and it doesn't matter what the actual truth is. Stupid
Yeah.
Aisha.
So it just is what it is. And Asha, however you want to pronounce it, she doesn't believe Selena's story, and it is what it is. So she accepts the fact, Selena accepts it, and she's like, I got half of them, and we're just going to have to show them with acts over time. The same way I learned, which is they're going to just have to see, like, seeing is believing, and they'll have to just see that I am going to rule alongside Atreus, and we are both going to rule this land, and it's going to be a team effort, and we have a lot of work to do. So she's like, all right, we're moving on. So chapter 50, Atreus and Selena go back to Versailles, and they make this the capital of the country. There's symbolic reason for that. Obviously, it's where Selena is from. And they walk through the city,
And it was the old
show
capital.
Atreus around, and
It was the capital.
yeah, it was the capital before. Yeah. And so they redo that. But then there's a moment where Atreus walks her around and is, oh, look here. And it's Narrow's house, her brother's house. And they go in, and he looks night and day from what he was before. He's obviously been healing really well. And he's happy to see her, and he offers her pineapple juice. And so there's this full circle moment. A nod from our drink of our episode that we had for tonight. And then also that the key element that ties their bond together. There's really just not a lot of food in this book.
Because they'll all be starving.
Because the only person eating, yeah, it's like blood. I guess I could have made a blood drink. I don't know. I felt like pineapple was the way to go. So glad we did that. And also, I just thought this was really sweet and a nice tie-in of their relationship, like in a neat little bow for him to have like his own happily ever after and his opportunity to have a life, which was great. So chapter 51, the very last chapter, they finally share an I love you moment, because we haven't gotten that this far. They've quite literally killed like probably hundreds of people at this point for each other, and no I love yous were had.
This was gonna be like a Cassian type thing where she says it and he doesn't say it back, because she says I love you, and it's literally like another half a page that you have to flip. I'm like, he's not gonna say it. Oh my god, he's not gonna say it. And he doesn't say it till like the very end. So I was like, oh my god, this needs to not be like one of those. So I was worried for a second.
No, the worst. Yeah. So Atreus does say it back, and there is this moment where they go into his bedchamber now because they have the castle there, and it's been redecorated. She has a bookshelf that's not fully done. He brings her paint and an easel, because one of the things that happens with Sight Mother when Vivi, at the time before Selena gets her new name, shows up, she liked to paint as a little girl. And the Sight Mother asks her, oh, what is this? And it's the sea. And she's like, no, it's paper, and rips it up. And so this is like her first as a little girl thing that she learns over time. And so for him to leave her with paints and an easel so she can paint as she did as a child, something she enjoyed, was just really beautiful moment between them, and basically the perfect wrap up of our happily ever after for these two. But they definitely make a strong presence in Fallen. So I'm glad we're talking about them now because we will be talking about them over the next few
Mhm.
weeks. But yeah, so Selena was at peace, and that wraps up this book. I really like this
Me
book.
too.
I liked it a lot. It was a 5-star for me. I think the ability to craft this world and these characters and this dynamic of a story and have all these side characters doing all these things and the magic system and 300 pages, I loved it.
Yeah, it's not an easy feat to cram as much building as she does, as dynamic characters as she does in that small of a space. So, that's just a testament to her writing.
Yeah, absolutely. That leads us to our mystery Q&A, Michelle.
Yay!
And I have an interesting question for you.
Okay.
So do you want to go first? Do you want me to go
Is it
first?
about pineapple juice?
No,
You could go first.
it is not. It's dark.
Okay. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Buckling.
Yeah. Okay, so my husband and I were talking about this, and I think it's a really fascinating and interesting subject. So we are in an era of chat GPT. We're in an era of AI. We're in an era that cannot be denied that it's just a tool that's being very heavily used. And it's also evolving quite literally by the second
Yeah.
as people use this. And there's multiple versions of AI. We're off the rails with how this is being governed and what's being made. My question for you is this: how many generations do you think it will be before none of the work that we do now exists?
Do you mean we as a society, or is we as like you and me?
Both.
Okay. Well, processing. Honestly, I don't think it's that many generations just because technology has grown so exponentially. Like, just think about just our lifetime period, how much technology has grown. Like, the internet didn't exist when we
Yeah.
were born or when we were kids. Google didn't exist.
Nope.
So, honestly, I think a lot of the things we're going to do is going to be obsolete very, very soon, probably
Yep.
within our children's generation. I don't know what exactly, but I mean, you already see in school systems like penmanship is something that is becoming obsolete because schools are continuing to move towards computers. So, like, cursive isn't taught anymore. And the just children's handwriting is just god awful because they're not taught because it's an obsolete
Well,
skill.
let's take it a step further. Salesforce just fired, I think, 1/3 of their sales team
Yeah, because I mean, things are automated.
to transition to AI.
Well, I'm just thinking, okay, so I believe I've mentioned this on the show before that me and my husband worked at Papa John's together. And part of our job was to answer the phones. If you call Papa John's right now, they outsource. I bet that's going to go to AI at some point in time. Now they outsource. Like, you can't call a store. You can't physically call a store.
I don't know.
You have to.
Did you know that when you go through like a Checkers drive-through,
Yeah,
there's nobody that answers the Checkers drive-through
Yep.
anymore. It's an AI system when you place your order.
And even in drive-throughs that aren't AI usage, they want you to order on the app. They want you to do things virtually without using people because people are expensive. You have to pay for people. You don't have to pay for technology.
Yes, that's a factor. It's not just expensive for people, but people fuck up.
Well, yeah.
How many orders do you place that gets fucked up at a fast food place?
Do you know how much AI
when the
fucks
AI
up?
repeats it back to you? No, I get that.
Yeah.
But when you place an order with AI, if it says the wrong thing or screws up, we're beyond a point now, like the Checkers order, for example. It's perfect.
Mhm.
You can tell it to omit cheese. You can tell it to whatever
Yeah.
you want it to do. It repeats it back to you exactly as you said
Right.
it. Prints it out exactly as you said it. It omits like food waste.
Yeah. That makes sense. As someone who worked in a McDonald's drive-through, I will say that there are times where I messed up an order. So
Hey, it happens.
it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, it eliminates human fallibility and increases efficiency. So I think we're going to progressively see like entry jobs, tech jobs even, that those jobs will become obsolete
Sales.
because, we can have AI or some sort of engine run reports. Like, if someone's job is just to run reports, it's like, okay, well, that's just pure data. that we can have someone in charge of the AI and that's it. We don't need Jim, Bob, and Steve to also run these AI reports. So, yeah, I think a lot of our
Yep.
jobs
Yep. All
in the
right.
next
So
generation is going to be
when?
honestly by the next generation.
What generation is it going to be? Ooh, really?
Yeah.
So like our kids,
Yeah.
you think?
I think by the time our
Okay.
kids are like in the workforce, it's going to be a completely different ball game.
Landscape?
Yeah, just because and that's going to be
Ooh,
about
that's
20 years.
interesting.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I still think though in 20 years we're going to need like people of the trades. We're going
Oh,
to
for
need
sure.
like plumbers. We're going to need garbage men still. We're going to need stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I do think we are still in the age of the machine in that sense where I do think all of that will be replaced too. And I think our great grandkids will not have to work, any of them.
But how do you make money if you don't work?
It's a great question.
That's just
I don't know.
I mean, I guess someone has to build the machines, but I still don't see like there are jobs that literally you can't have AI do, like a firefighter. You can't have I mean, obviously you can build a robot. I know they're working on building like these AI robots for like moon landings and stuff, but and that technology is progressively getting better. But I'm just thinking like your machinery is going to melt down. I think it'd be better to have some like an actual like buff guy.
Yeah, but couldn't you just have a fire truck get sent to
Yeah,
somewhere and also have like
but who's
buildings that
gonna
already
go
have
in there?
fireproofing?
No, but like who's gonna go in there and
Yeah,
like
but who's to
rescue
say like
someone?
an AI wouldn't have statistical that maybe it has statistical odds of survival rate and it's now we're talking about morals.
No odds.
I'm just saying
Sorry.
now we're going into morals and it has a statistical. So like now we're going into some crazy like AI. I told you this was a dark question.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
yeah.
just wanted to make you think.
I would like to
I just
think
thought it was an interesting
yeah.
thing to discuss. I could literally take a whole episode talking about this type of shit. So let me wrap my question. We got it. You answered it. We're done.
Okay.
I would love to know listeners' thoughts and comments on that subject matter because there's like probably hundreds of subreddits just on that very topic. So tinfoil hat, put it on. Let's talk about it. I want to know.
Okay. I guess my topic shouldn't be as dark since you're like trying to mind fuck everyone. Let's talk about
What else is new?
let's talk about comfort food. So it's fall. Fall
Oh,
is comfort
okay.
food time. So what's your go-to?
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be fall, but like what's your go-to comfort food?
I love Italian food. I think my go-to comfort food in general is like spaghetti,
Okay.
like at home. My own spaghetti
Mhm.
that I make.
Do you have like a
I like a
recipe?
protein pasta, a specific brand.
Oh.
Yeah. I like a specific type of pasta sauce. There's specific stuff like that for me, especially you're going to think I'm weird for this. I want it to sit in the fridge overnight
Yeah, you're supposed to
and then I want to reheat it.
yeah, because the sauce, like the seasoning from the sauce, it like
Yeah.
further yeah.
It needs to get into the
Yeah.
noodles properly.
No, I get that.
I need it to get in there.
Okay.
So for me, that's like a very comforting meal. I love soups. And in California, when I lived there, especially Northern California, is there were like places that just sold soup. We have Panera here or whatever, but it's not like a thing.
Right.
So that's something that I miss is like the weather there really, it's basically 66 year round
Yeah, that lots
in
of
that
soup.
area, the Bay Area.
95 is not.
So you get a lot of soup. Yeah, we don't really get a lot of soup weather here.
Mhm.
So I do like to make, there's a comforting chicken tortilla soup that I can make in the Instapot from memory. That's a very comforting soup. My husband loves it. It's really easy to make. You can make it in 15 minutes from frozen chicken. If anyone wants the recipe, I'll give it to you. But yeah, those two items are probably my go-to as terms of comfort foods.
Okay.
What about you?
So one of my comfort foods, because I'm half Filipino, so you know, growing up, we ate Filipino food. So there's something called chicken adobo, and it's very different from the adobo
yeah.
in Spanish food, because Spanish food, that's a seasoning. But like chicken adobo is like actually like a stew
Right.
type thing. I actually made some today. So that's why I was thinking about comfort food. I was just craving it. So that's one thing with, you know, just having
What is it? Tell us about it. What's the recipe?
Oh, it's like a soy sauce based soup. It's like soy sauce and vinegar but like there's brown
Ooh,
sugar
yum.
and it's really basic. Like it's a Filipino staple because it's really cheap to make. So it's
I love
super
it.
easy. And I also love soup though. And my go-to is chicken
Yeah.
broccoli soup.
Why are we living here?
I know. And I'll make it, and it doesn't last very long in the house. Chicken and broccoli soup is just like
Oh, because it's
so good.
delicious.
So good.
I've yet to find like a good dairy-free cream soup substitute. I just don't know.
I see a lot of
There's a
people
lot of them,
do
and maybe there's a few that are good, but
I've
I don't
seen a
know.
lot of people do cream when they do cream soups, they actually because they have to make their base to make it thick, and they'll, like, soak cashews and, like,
I've seen
grind
that.
them and until they're like a paste to make it, like, thick. So, that could be worth a try. I know Pinterest has a lot of recipes.
There's this guy, Alfie Cooks, that I follow who's just guy as if I like know him. He has like over 1 million followers and all his recipes are vegan and I love watching his stuff and he does like a whole thing on vegan soups. And so I've been really wanting to try one of his vegan soups. Yeah, so comfort food. I think that wraps it up.
Before we wrap up, let's talk about what's coming up next on Book Club After Dark.
Michelle, next week we have our interview
Yes.
with Bryn fucking Weaver. Bryn Weaver, y'all. Bryn
Yes.
Weaver, who has a movie coming out. Bryn Weaver, who wrote the Ruinous Love Trilogy. Bryn Weaver, who on September 23rd has Taurus season coming out. We asked her so many incredible questions, including what is her comfort food. We asked her all types of things. I can't understate how fun it was to interview her. It was
She's
an
amazing.
awesome time.
Yeah.
We've got a new drink of the episode. We've got lots of really fun things to talk about, and it's going to be great. You're going to love it. Can't wait for you guys to tune in.
Yeah.
It's going to be super fun. One other thing is we got some bookish mail, Michelle, and I thought it'd be fun to open it. And you got some bookish mail for us too. We got something from Amazon Publishing for their creator program. I don't know anything about signing up for that, but sure. They sent it to us. We have here, looks like cute. We've got a little bag here. It says, oh, meet me at the book club. It's from Amazon Publishing. So we got a little tote bag here. And then we have a sticker, serial reader, like that. Oh, let me turn that around. There we go. You could see the sticker if you're watching us on YouTube. Criminally good reads. So I feel like they've identified
what
our
reads
we
are.
like to read. Clearly. So yeah, so they sent us, okay, what do we got here? Let's take a look. We have 3 books here. So thank you, Brilliance Publishing from Amazon company here that sent us these books. That was very nice of you. We have Melinda Lee's Beyond Her Reach. It's the first one. Lies Protect and Lies Kill. Quiet suburban neighborhood in upstate New York. Single mom Kelly Gibson is slain in her home, the victim of a rage killing. Right away, Sheriff Bree Taggart has 3 persons of interest: angry soon-to-be ex-husband, a furtive rebound boyfriend, and an obsessive neighbor. We'll see what happens. Bree is attacked and left for dead, though. Another woman is kidnapped. Ooh, we got a serial killer on our hands here. Beyond Her Reach. All right. And then we have New York Times bestselling author Jeffrey Deaver, Fatal Intrusion, with also Wall Street Journal bestselling author Isabella Maldonado. The hardest killer to catch is one with no apparent motive. So this one looks pretty good too.
Ooh.
Carmen Sanchez is a tough Homeland Security agent who plays by the rules, but when her sister is attacked, revealing a connection to a series of murders across Southern California, she realizes a conventional investigation will not be enough to stop the ruthless perpetrator. So, little blurb there. Oh, and then one more from Jeffrey Deaver and Isabella Maldonado, The Grave Artist. This is another one that they wrote together, and this is them on the back.
Awesome.
This was a hardcover. Yeah. He's an artist whose medium is death. Okay, then.
There we go.
A wedding reception is coming to a close in the Hollywood Hills when a blissful day is shattered by the death of one of the newlyweds. Though the incident appears to be an accident, Homeland Security investigator agent Carmen Sanchez and her partner, security expert Jake Heron, discover that the tragedy is the third in a series of similar deaths that conclude something far more sinister at play. So it sounds like this is a series about the same type of character, Carmen Sanchez in book 1, and she has another book in book 2, and they're put together.
Awesome.
Nice. We'll have to take a look at those. So thank you to Amazon for sending those our way.
So
we will definitely take a look. And Michelle, you had some too.
Had a hat.
Let's see your hat.
It says,
what does it say on there?
Read more. Amazon Publishing.
Oh, cute.
So,
We're almost in the beanie
yeah.
season for 3
And
days in Florida, but
yeah, because this is a thick beanie. I don't know. It's a nice beanie. This is thick. This would actually keep your head warm. Here in Florida, we don't need that very often, but I appreciate it. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. If you have thoughts on Slaying the Vampire Conqueror or suggestions for future reads, drop a comment below or message us on one of our social media platforms at Book Club After Dark Pod. Show us your fan art, theories, or anything bookish you'd like to share.
you can also visit our website, bookclubafterdark.co, to stay up to date on our cozy content and check out our merch.
That's all for tonight. Sleep tight, night owls. Until next time, happy reading.